Here's the block. This part is finished. The embroidery is in progress here, and we'll do this part together. To start, I suggest that you don't fuse all the appliques at once. You can either fuse and fix everything in one section, or you fuse and fix all 4 orange flowers, then with the yellow flowers, then the leaves, etc. You choose one method or the other. Then I won't spend much time on the leaves. The technique I used is the S or Z stem stitch. Please refer to the previous videos should you need to refresh your memory. The colors I used for the darker leaves are DMC MOULINE color 937 and 471. And for the bright leaves, I used the colors 937 and 3047. I embroidered the orange flower with a variation of the SZ stem stitch. Look, the stitches follow the design of the petal and are directed downwards. So let's do some theory first. We used to embroider like this. We started at the top of the design, and on the left side we did the S stem stitch. We merged the needle here and went down in the applique, emerged, went down, etc. Now we'll do the opposite. We'll start on the lower part of the design here, and instead of embroidering the S stem stitch on the left side, we'll do the Z stem stitch. We start here with some perpendicular stitches, straight stitches, to join the petal and the heart of the flower. And here I come up with the needle in the background and go down in the applique. I work this way up to the top. Then I come down here again, do some straight stitches and do the S stem stitch. Coming up with the needle in the background and going down into the applique. The threads I used are DMC MOULINE color rust 919 and red 815, 1 strand of each for the bud. And for the petal, I used the colors 718 and 815. To embroider the petals, you will start down here, emerging the needle, first perpendicular straight stitches, then when you come here, you do the stem stitch. You work upwards with the stem stitch. Then you emerge the needle here, work downwards with the stem stitch, then again straight stitches, stem stitch, stem stitch, work to the left with perpendicular straight stitches. You go down with the needle and emerge it here, do again straight stitches, work up stem stitch, down straight stem stitch, straight stitches here, again straight stitches here and stem stitch. Let's now embroider the little yellow flowers. You will use DMC's MOULINE color 4124, 1 thread doubled, and I start at the edge of the petal with a small straight stitch, emerging and entering the needle in the applique. Then I emerge the needle in the background fabric and go down in the petal, then stem stitch. If you are right-handed, you work from left to right, and if you're left-handed, you work from right to left. The stitches are quite short, about 1/8 inch long. This makes it easier to follow the curve of the petal. I now show you. I do first a straight stitch, emerging the needle in the applique and going down also in the applique as I said previously. Then I emerge in the background and start stem stitching. So the stitches are short and the needle emerges about 1 millimeter from the edge of the applique. No more, because the flower is small, and if you catched more than 1 millimeter, that's about a little bit less than 1/16 inch, there wouldn't be much place left to stuff. So always 1 millimeter into the applique and stem stitch. The heart of the flower is done with a spider web stitch with purley 5 color 3046. I do 5 spokes, emerging the needle on the drawn circle and going down into the center. This 5 times. Then I emerge the needle as close to the center as possible and I work clockwise. First, I ease back over 1 spoke and I advance under 2 spokes. I pull the thread firmly in place and then I place this first stitch with my thumb as close to the center as possible. Then again I ease back under 1 spoke and I advance under 2. I pull the thread firmly I ease back under 1 spoke and over 1 spoke and advance under 2, and I go on like this until all the spokes are filled. Then you can stuff all the embroideries, all the appliques, and when the trapunto is done, you can do the embellishing. For the little yellow flowers, I use 1 strand doubled of DMC black and embroider small straight stitches placed like a V all around the center. 2 little straight stitches. Then for the orange flowers, I used 1 strand doubled of color 718 and I embroider straight stitches on the petals. Make them longer in the middle and shorter on the sides. And then use 1 strand doubled of color 375 and do a second series of shorter stitches between the pink ones. There are 2 embroideries still to do. First, the fly stitch. Let's now embroider the fly stitch along the flying G's. It's done with purley 5 color 3687. We already did some fly stitch in the previous block, but it looked very different, and this is why I use and like this stitch so much, because it's so versatile. So you come up with your needle on the left, you go down, you work towards you, you go down with the needle even with this first emerging point, you come up on the seam and you make a catch stitch. This catch stitch is about 1/4 inch long. Don't make them shorter, otherwise you might not have enough thread to finish your work. Then you do the catch stitch, you come up left, you pick up right, you emerge the needle again at the bottom of the catch stitch, and you work downwards, well, towards you. Unfortunately, the seam allowance is always in our way in the cream fabric, but this, unfortunately, there's nothing much to do about it. So come up left, go down right, etc. To finish, we'll do the grasses in the background. For this, you thread a needle with 1 strand of MOULINE black 310 and 1 strand of red 815. I start with a straight stitch at the top of the design. I come up left with the needle midway of this first stitch. Then I go down even with the emerging point and I come up again at the end of the straight stitch. This cut stitch is very short, barely 1/8 inch long, and I work this way 4 fly stitches. So always the cut stitch short. After the 4th fly stitch done, you make a longer cut stitch and you continue with a back stitch to make the stems. Work all the grasses this way. The stems with the back stitch, and then you'll be done. I really hope you enjoyed stitching with me. Rendezvous in May for the third block, a lovely spring bouquet.